Hello everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Polity This Week by Drishti IAS. In this episode, we will be talking about the political developments which has happened in the last week. These can be important for your examination. So let's start our discussion. Here we'll be discussing 4 to 5 topics today. Okay, so here you can see, can POSH Act apply to political parties? Okay, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act at workplace when we're talking about. So they are saying that whether we can apply it to political parties or not. Recently, Supreme Court has taken this particular case wherein they have observed and said that this is Election Commission's prerogative. So now they have asked the petitioner to go to the Election Commission of India, and Election Commission of India can be taking the necessary steps. So we'll be seeing what Election Commission does, but as of now we'll be seeing that what has been the past judgment by the Kerala High Court and what are the requirements which are there in the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. Okay. Coming to the next one, boost to NIA power. When we talk about the National Investigation Agency, so here Supreme Court has given you can say interpretation wherein they have boosted the power of this investigating agency. Okay. Next is parliamentary productivity. So when we are talking about the recent winter session, we have seen that there are various you can say activities which are going on. We have seen that there was talks about removal of Rajya Sabha chairman. Other than that, also there was various hookers which has been created in the parliament. So considering that, we will be talking about the parliamentary productivity. We will be seeing that how efficient our parliament is. Okay. And what happens when your parliament is not very efficient or not very productivity. Okay. Coming to the next one, misuse of laws in India. Recently there was this suicide which has happened in Bangalore. A techie actually killed himself. Considering that, this issue of misuse of various laws which are there, okay, so that is there. So we will be looking into that as well. Okay. So now let's start. Before that, we have this course for you, that is IAS Foundation course at our Noida center in English medium. Here you can see, when we are talking about the English medium, classes are starting from 9th of Jan 2025 6 p.m. and for Hindi medium, that is 6th of January 2025 11:30 a.m. Okay, address is given, that is C171/2 Block A Sector 15 Noida. For more information, you can call on this number, that is 9311406440. Other than that, we are having a UPSC GS Foundation course at our different centers, that is Karol Bagh, Lucknow and Prayagraj. It is starting at Karol Bagh on 23rd of December 2024 at 8 a.m. for English medium. Lucknow, this is starting on the 23rd December 2024, Hindi and English medium, timing is 11:30 a.m. And at Prayagraj, we are starting from the 2nd of January 2025, Hindi and English medium, timings is different here. Hindi medium is 6 p.m. and for English medium, that is 5:30 p.m. Okay. Other than that, we have one initiative for you, that is Sambhav 2025. This is an you can say open to all access is there at our website. So you can go and explore about this particular initiative. Herein you will be getting integrated preparation for prelims as well as mains. So you will be getting 10 prelims questions daily and 2 daily mains questions for your practice. So you can go and explore or check out this particular initiative at our website. Now coming to the questions which was given to you for your practice in the last session. So let's see the explanation first. According to the Places of Worship Act 1991, the religious character of a place of worship must be maintained at it existed on options are given: 26th January 1950, 1st January 1950, 15th of August 1947, 14th of November 1948. So basically they are talking about the cutoff date, okay, which is given in the Places of Worship Act. So date is 15th of August 1947. Option C is your right answer. Now coming to the next one here. Who has the authority to remove a judge of Supreme Court or High Court in India? Obviously, President has the authority after the impeachment process or the impeachment like procedure which is going on in the parliament. After that particular process is complete in the parliament, this will be sent to the president, and president with an order, with his order, he will be removing the judge of a court. Okay. Now coming to the next one, that is, what is the minimum notice period required to initiate a resolution for the removal of vice president? Okay. So you need to know that there is a 14 days notice that you have to give. So option C is your right answer. Now the last question is, what change is required in the constitution to implement one nation, one election, that is ONOE. Okay. Amendment to Article 83, amendment to Article 74, Article 123 or Article 356. Now when we are talking about Article 74, that is talking about the Council of Ministers. When we talk about Article 123, this is the ordinance making power. Okay. Coming to the article 356, that is related to your emergency. Okay, so now obviously there is only one article, that is article 83, that is talking about the tenure or the term in the parliament. Okay, so option A is your right answer. If you are going for the one nation one election, you have to amend this particular article. Recently, last time when we were talking about the one nation one election, we have seen that the cabinet has drafted, you can say, bill for the one nation one election. Now this time they have actually, tabled it in Lok Sabha. Okay, so that is about your questions which was given to you in the previous lecture. Now coming to the real question of the day, that is, can we apply POSH in the political parties? Right now, when we are talking about the political parties, they have their own disciplinary action if there is something like that which happens in the political party. Now we have one act, that is POSH, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act at Workplace, that is basically dealing with the issue of the sexual harassment if it is happening at the workplace. Okay. Now, this came after the Vishakha guidelines. You know that there was this case in which the court has given the Vishakha guidelines, and after that they have directed that they should, the government should go for making an act. Now we are having this POSH Act. Okay. Now POSH is applied when there is a relation, that is employer relation. Okay, one is employee, second is employer relation, that is there. So second thing is, it is applied when there is a workplace. Okay. Now in the case of political parties, if you are to apply POSH, when we are talking about a POSH, there is a internal complaint committee. There is a provision that in the POSH you have to make an internal complaint committee. Whenever there is something like, or a complaint is there, you have to go for this particular committee, and that committee will take up the issue. Okay, so that is the requirement which is given in the POSH Act. Now when we are talking about the political parties, okay, here question is that if there is a political party and if you are applying this POSH, this ICC is basically you can say constituted by the employer. Okay, now it is the employer who will go for the constitution of the ICC. Now if there are political parties and you are talking about applying the POSH Act in the political party, question is that who will be the employer? Okay. Now in the political parties we have hierarchy, but it is not having a employee-employer relation. Okay, so that is one question, that who is the employer who will go for the constitution of this ICC. Second thing is, when we are talking about the political parties, most of the time you will be seeing that there is no employee-employer relation. Okay, there most of the time you will be seeing that there is no when we talk about the employee-employer relation, so there is a service which you are providing and the employer is giving you, you can say, some kind of incentive or money in the exchange of that. Okay. Now considering that, that is not existing in when we are talking about the political parties. So these two things were there. Other than that, also one more thing, that is workplace. What will be the workplace for the political parties? Because most of the time you will be seeing that the party workers are working in the field. So these were some of the questions because of which this question has been raised, that can we apply this particular act or not. Okay. So now let's see the provisions and let's talk about the issue over here. Now POSH Act, it was enacted by the government of India to address the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace and ensure safe and conducive environment for the woman to work. Okay, so that is one thing. Second, in 1997 there was this landmark judgment, that is Vishakha and others versus state of Rajasthan. In that the Supreme Court has given Vishakha guidelines. Okay, when we are talking about this objective, to fulfill this objective they have given the Vishakha guidelines to safeguard the woman from the sexual harassment at the workplace. Now considering that they have, on the basis of these guidelines, and there are international convention on the basis of which they have come up with the act, that is your POSH Act. Okay. Now let's see over here. There was this PIL which has been filed in the Supreme Court and saying that whether we should apply this POSH in the political parties or not. So here court has directed the petitioner to go to the approach the Election Commission of India, because Election Commission of India is the body which is taking care of the political parties and the elections related issues. So they will be the authority to decide on that. Okay. Now if they does not do anything, then there will be another option which is available, that is you can say courts. Okay. So directed the petitioner to approach the Election Commission of India to create an in-house mechanism for handling the complaints of sexual harassment within political parties. Now who does the POSH Act apply to? Now when we are talking about this particular act, on whom this particular act applies to? So here section 3 clause 1 ensures that no woman is subjected to sexual harassment at any workplace. Okay, so that is one thing, that on a particular workplace that act is applying. Now definition of the workplace, here expansive definition includes organizations, institutions public sector bodies, homes, venues, even places visited by the employee during the course of the employment. Now here they are saying that public sector, other than that also the private sector bodies are also included in. Okay. So when we are talking about these organizations, institutions, public sector bodies, homes, venues, etc., they are part of your workplace. Now one more thing they have added, that employee during the course of employment. Whenever, if you are talking about let's say you are a person who has to go out for a business trip with your employer. Okay. Now at that point of time you are not inside the institution's campus, but you are outside somewhere else or either in other city. Now even in that particular area, if there is something or some act of harassment happens over there, then also it will be considered as the workplace. Okay. So if you are outside on a business trip or work trip, so that particular place will also be considered as the workplace. Okay. So these are the definitions, these includes the definition of workplace. Now could the POSH Act apply to the political parties or not? Now what is the issue? We have already seen that if applied, political parties would need ICC to handle the sexual harassment complaints. Now ICC will be made or constitution of this ICC will be done by the employer. Okay. Now we have to see that who is the employer of the political party, one thing. Second thing is determining what constitute a workplace in a political context. When we are talking about the political parties, there are party offices. Okay. But most of the time you will be seeing that the party workers are working outside the party office. So how will you define the workplace over here? Third thing is identifying the employer, who is the employer in the political party and who will constitute this ICC. Okay. So these three were the challenges. Now previous instance, if you are talking about the you can say court stand on this particular issue. So Kerala High Court in 2022 they have said that when we are talking about they have addressed the need of the ICCs in the sectors like television, film, news and political organizations, and court's view was that no employer-employee relation exists, and that is why political parties does not have to, or you can say you cannot apply this POSH Act on these political parties, because court has observed that there is no employee-employer relation. Okay. Now let's talk about these issues over here. Okay, these challenges which are there, can we handle these challenges or not? So first thing is that ICCs has to be constituted by the you can say employer. So now in a political party there is a hierarchy which is there. So we know that there is the, you can say, party workers, and then there will be a leader and high command, you can say, that will be there. Now considering that hierarchy, you will be seeing that who is at the top, that particular person can be considered as a, you can say, your employer. Okay. Second thing is that what constitutes the workplace. Now in the workplace definition over here, we have seen that during the course of employment, if you are going somewhere, that is also constituted as the workplace. So that means that if political party workers are working outside, that will also be considered as the, you can say, workplace. Now third thing was that employee-employer relation. Okay. Now employee-employer relation means that there is a person who is your employer, he is giving you some kind of incentive in the exchange of the service which you are providing. Okay. Now that incentive can be cash or kind. Now when we are talking about the you can say this particular relation, there are volunteers. Okay, volunteers, and you can say there are certain interns, etc. They are also you can say included in the definition of the employee in this particular act. Okay. So if volunteers are there, that means that party workers can be considered as the volunteer. So there are chances that you can apply this act to the POSH, but now it is for ECI, Election Commission of India, to decide that. Okay. So as of now, Kerala High Court has said that we cannot apply it, and now the Supreme Court has referred the case to the Election Commission of India. Now Election Commission of India under Article 324, they have the power, and under Article 324 they can direct with respect to the POSH Act. Okay. Now coming to the next part over here, party level mechanism. As I told you that there are internal disciplinary committees which are there. Okay. And other than that, they have their own hierarchy, and there are some you can say, when we are talking about the internal disciplinary committees, etc. So they have this particular provision saying that something which is going against the you can say morals of the party, etc. So they have some kind of loopholes which are there. So we cannot exactly say that they have the mention of the word that is sexual harassment. Okay. So that is about this particular issue. Now we can move to the next one, that is your Okay, this is the overview of the POSH Act. So you can go through this. Herein they have talked about the prevention and the prohibition. Here employee must prevent and prohibit the sexual harassment. Internal complaint committee, which we have seen that there is a provision that there should be an internal complaint committee. Duty of the employer, that employer must conduct the awareness program and ensure the safety. Other than that, complaint mechanism, there is a complaint mechanism, or you can say for filing a complaint there is a proper mechanism which should be there inside the institution or the organization. And penalties, if you are not complying with the, or you are not compliant with the provisions, then you have to go for you have to be penalized or be liable under the act. Okay, so that is about the overview of POSH Act. Now coming to the next one. So boost to NIA powers. Now NIA, that is your National Investigating Agency, which is there. Most of the time you will be seeing that mostly in the cases of terrorism, etc. This is the body which is going for the, you can say, investigation, etc. Now recently there was this case which has gone to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has made some kind of observations over here. So let's talk about that. Okay. So here you can see the Supreme Court ruled that the NIA's power are not restricted to the probing only scheduled offences listed in the NIA Act. Now scheduled offences means that in the NIA Act there is a schedule which is given at the end of the, you can say, act, in which they have listed some of the offences. Now these offences are called as the scheduled offences because they are put under the schedule under the act. Okay. Now the court has said that mostly when we are talking about the act is giving power to the NIA or the National Investigating Agency to investigate on these issues. Okay. Now court has recently said that other than these issues, on the non-scheduled offences also NIA can go for the investigation, but there is a one condition, that this non-scheduled offence has some connection with the scheduled one. Okay. Now let's say there are, in a simple language you can say that there is a person A, who has committed a crime under UAPA. Okay. UAPA. Now UAPA is a scheduled offence, or any offence under the UAPA is a scheduled offence. Okay. Now there is another person who is X. Now other than that offence, this particular person, you can say he has given a job to this particular person X, and job was to go for a theft. Okay. Now this theft is not a scheduled offence. Okay. So theft is a non-scheduled offence. Okay. Offence under UPA, that is a scheduled offence. Now NIA has normal conditions, NIA has power to investigate only the scheduled offences. Okay. But if this job is connected with this offence, okay, in that case NIA can investigate this particular offence as well as they can investigate this particular person as well. Okay. So they have broadened the sphere of the power of NIA. Okay. Earlier NIA had only power that they would go for the investigation under the scheduled offences. Now with that particular scheduled offence, if there is a particular person or another crime which is attached over there, okay, or they are this crime or the person is having some kind of connection with the scheduled offence, in that case NIA can go and investigate these offences as well. This is the simple thing which is discussed over here. Now let's see. Section 8 of the NIA Act, NIA can investigate any other offence the accused is alleged to have committed if it is connected with the scheduled offence. Okay. So they are saying that along with the scheduled offence, they can go for investigation of the any kind of other offence. Okay. Holistic interpretation ensure broad applicability of the NIA's investigating scope. Now definition of the term accused. Okay. When we are talking about the accused, let's say, as I told you, Mr. A has committed a crime under UAPA, so he is an accused under NIA. Other than that, he has given a job to X. Okay. So under this particular job, that there was this offence of theft, and this particular offence is now being investigated by the NIA. This person will also be considered as the accused. Okay. So they have expanded the definition of the accused as well. So not the definition of accused is not limited to the individual being investigated solely for the scheduled offences. Any additional offence connected to the scheduled offence also falls under the NIA's jurisdiction. So that is that they can investigate this person as well as the theft, and this is obviously the power of NIA which was already there. Okay. Now coming to the next one, interpretation of the section 8. Now, NIA can investigate any other offence connected to the scheduled offence, we have already seen. The term any other offence is broad and includes the offence not listed in the NIA schedule if it is linked with the scheduled offence. Okay. The term accused applies not just to the primary accused. Here in this case or our example, the primary accused was A, okay, but to any accused connected to the scheduled offence. So, here X will also be considered as an accused over here. Now, the judgment emphasized that the phrase any other offence is wide and inclusive, extending beyond the NIA schedule. Such offence must have a connection with the scheduled offence. That is the only condition, if there is a connection or not. Okay. So, that is the interpretation of section 8. Now, coming to the National Investigating Agency. Okay. So, here it is a federal counter terrorism law enforcement agency of India. Okay. Mostly you will be seeing that these are the offences wherein they will be working, that is counter terrorism. Coming to the next one, it has extensive power to investigate terror activities in any part of India, register a case, arrest people without the permission of the state government. Now, there is another agency, that is Central Bureau of Investigation. Now, CBI has to take consent from the states. Okay. CBI has to take the consent from the state. Consent can be, you can say, general or specific. Okay. But recently you will be seeing that there are various issues which has been raised with respect to this general consent and the specific consent with respect to the cases when we are talking about the CBI. So, in this case NIA does not have to take any permission or any consent. Okay. So, they have the power to investigate in our territory. Now, coming to the next one, NIA is a statutory body established under NIA Act 2008 and it is working under the Ministry of Home Affairs. It was established after the 26/11 Mumbai attack, the Taj hotel attack which has happened. In that particular attack, we realized that our intelligence sharing or the intelligence agencies, there is some kind of gap which is there. Okay. So, considering that, they have come up with this particular act. Okay. The schedule of the NIA Act listed several acts such as the Atomic Energy Act, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act we have already seen, and the Anti-Hijacking Act, etc. So, these are some of the acts which are there in the schedule. Okay. So, this is about the NIA. Here you can see when we are talking about the NIA, there are some of the provisions which are given over here. Power to investigate connected offence as well. Okay. So, as I told you, along with the scheduled offences, you are to you can say investigate the connected offences as well. Okay. Accused activities as well. Coming to the next one, state government assistance. Now, state government will be giving you cooperation and the assistance when you are going for the investigation. Coming to the next one, investigation of the scheduled offences, central government directives. Now, there can be two things. Now, state can give a report. On the basis of the report of the state government, there can be a case which can be registered under NIA, okay, for the NIA to investigate, or central government can directly take a suo motu action. Okay. So, basically state government will be sending a report to the central government and then central government will be directing NIA to go for the investigation. Otherwise, central government, if they think that it is necessary, they can directly start an investigation and by asking the NIA. Okay. Then investigation under the other acts, UPA and other acts are also there. So, they can go for the investigation under the other acts as well, take the sanction of the central government. Now, before going for the investigation in the other act, they have to take a permission from the central government. Now, prosecution of the offences, NIA special court is there. After the investigation, they will put the case to the NIA special courts. Okay. So, that is the provisions which are there in the NIA Act 2008. Okay. Now, let us come to the next one, that is parliamentary productivity. As I told you, recently there are various issues which has been seen in the parliament. Recently, the former Vice President of India highlighted the increasing disruption in the parliament, emphasizing the need for transition from the confrontation politics to the constructive politics. Okay. Confrontational politics, that means accusing one another. Okay. So, that is the most of the time you will be seeing that in the parliament, opposition is accusing the ruling party and ruling parties are accusing the opposition. So, that is the kind of politics right now it is happening, and they are asking to go for the constructive debates, that is issue based debate or the development related issues are discussed in the parliament. So, that is the need of the hour. So, let us see what is happening in our parliament. Okay. Now, challenges in the parliament. First is the frequent disruptions. you will be seeing that most of the time oppositions is creating chaos in the parliament. Some of the time you will be seeing that they are suspended as well, because of which the functioning of parliament get hindered. Okay, so here in 2023 winter session faced suspension of 141 opposite MPs. Okay, with respect to the security breach which has happened in last year, with respect to that they were protesting and then they were suspended. So because of which the functioning of parliament get hindered. Second is poor quality of legislation. Now if you are going for the lesser days for the discussions, if there is a house which is adjourned again and again, if disruptions are there, so what will happen is that you are not going for the quality debate. Okay, now if you are not going for the quality debate, that means that you are going for the hasty decision making, you are going for the hasty bill passing. Okay, so that is an you can say result of the poor quality legislation which is coming out after that. Okay, inadequate scrutiny. Obviously if there is no debate, then scrutiny won't be there. Other than that, political polarization, okay, government opposition divide which is there, and because of which you will be seeing that most of the time there is no consensus. Okay, so that is one of the issue. Stalled legislation, if consensus is not there, so legislation process will be stalled. Coming to the next one, lack of participation, average attendance when we are talking about, that is poor. Debate participation will be decreased. If you are not present in the house, that means that debate participation will be less. Now if you talk about the 17th Lok Sabha, the average attendance was somewhere around 79. Okay, if we are specifically talking about the budget session 2021, you will be seeing that presence or the attendance was 69%. Okay, so that is there. Lack of the gender equality, when we talk about the percentage of women inside the parliament, that is lower. Okay, so that is there. Now if you look at the 18th Lok Sabha, 74 women members are elected over here, and that is 13.6% of the total members. Okay, so that is there, and that is less than the last Lok Sabha. When we talk about the 17th Lok Sabha, that was 14.4%, and that has decreased to 13.6%. If we talk about Rajya Sabha, women members are 14.05%. Okay, so there is a gap, or you can say gender issue or gender gap is also there, because of which what happens is that the adequate representation is not there of the one section of the society. Okay, so these are some of the challenges which are there, because of which what happens is that, because of which when we are talking about the disruption which are they going on in the parliament, consensus building will be undermined. Okay, so you will not be coming to a conclusion. Second thing is insufficient discussion on the bills. If there is a insufficient discussion, then it will be a hasty passing. Okay, or you can say the quality of the legislation will not be very good. Okay, coming to the next one, weak legislative debate qualities. Okay, so we have already seen that, and declining effectiveness. So whole work of the parliament is to make law, and if you are not able to do that by the, you can say, deteriorating quality of the debates, so effectiveness of the parliament will also get declined. Okay, now coming to the next one over here, initiative for the proper functioning. As of now, how many initiatives are there? So we have disciplinary actions. Okay, if someone is creating chaos in the parliament or in the house, then they will be suspended. Other than that, here you can see code of conduct is also there. There are guidelines which are there for the conduct of the member of parliament, which is there. Most of the time you will be seeing that if they are not followed. Okay, coming to the next one, technology adoptions. Okay, live sessions etc. will be there. People can watch the proceedings of the parliament. Committee system, utilize committee system to scrutinize the legislation. Since debates are decreasing, so there are committees which are scrutinizing the bills and the legislations. Okay, so that is the initiatives which are already there. What else we can do? So what we can do is that we can enhance the youth engagement in the parliamentary debates. Second is the constructive debates. We have to go for the constructive debates wherein we will be talking about the developmental issues, okay, and not on the confrontational politics. Coming to the next one, presiding officer's role. Now this is very important. Presiding officer in our constitution and otherwise also we can say that he is a person who is not biased. Okay, and he has to play a non unbiased role in the parliament. He has to manage the business of the parliament, so he should be, his role should be strengthened. Coming to the next one, accountability culture. There should be somehow there should be some measures which can inculcate the accountability in the members. Okay, that is there. And public engagement through the live sessions etc. What we are doing is that we are enhancing the public engagement in the parliamentary processes. Okay, so this is something which we can do to improve the you can say quality of the work of the parliament. Okay, so that is about the productivity of the parliament and the sessions. Today when we are talking about this parliamentary session or the winter session which has ended on the 20th of December. Okay, we will be waiting for the next session now. Okay, now let's move further to the next one. that is misuse of laws in India. Recently, a public interest litigation was filed in the Supreme Court after a techie suicide in Bengaluru, seeking intervention to review and reform the dowry and the domestic violence law. When we talk about the dowry and the domestic violence law, you will be seeing that they are highly biased in India. Okay, when we talk about the you can say various laws, they are not even gender neutral. Now that is one of the issue, and since we are talking about the conviction rates that is very poor, so we can say that there are somehow misuse of these laws are happening in India. Okay, you will be seeing that for a simple divorce related issue, there are a husband or wife, they are not feeling like living together. Now if they are going to a you can say lawyer, so lawyer for their own personal agenda, or so that they can earn more money out of it, or the trial should be continued for the longer time so that they can get money out of it. For that they actually make these particular act, you can say this particular issues complicated. Okay, so they will go for the bunch of allegations on the husband side, etc. So that can be there. Now there is an important role which has to be played by the legal officers over here when we are talking about the misuse of the law. Okay, we will be seeing how there is this misuse, and how you can say these legal officers can make it little bit easier. What happens is that because of the misuse, the genuine victims are not getting justice. Okay, so let's start with the discussion over here. Now let's see, when we are talking about the legal provisions and the gender bias in India, so you will be seeing there are various acts, various sections which are there, which you can see that there is a bias. So let's start with the first one. When we are talking about the Domestic Violence Act 2005, you will be seeing that domestic violence in India can happen only against a female. Okay, so men are excluded over here. Okay, so men and the transgenders are excluded from the statute. Okay, so the language of the statute is like that: the men and transgenders are not there, or they are not protected under this statute. Okay, so that is one thing. Second, section 498A. Okay, now it is a non-bailable, non-compoundable and the cognizable offense. So when we are talking about the non-compoundable offense, that means that trial will happen. Okay, despite the allegations are false, trial will happen. So that is there. Even if the allegations are false, trial is happening. That means that there is a psychological pressure which is there on the particular party. Okay, now presumption of the guilt, most of the time in such cases there is this burden of proof for a person to prove that I am innocent, that is mostly on the husband. Okay, so that is there. Then coming to the next one, if we are talking about the total arrest, there are 2 lakh arrest which has happened in these cases, because this is a cognizable offense. Police directly can go for the arrest without a you can say magistrate warrant. Now 2 lakh arrest has happened, but only 15% conviction is there. Okay, so 15% conviction, which is saying that 85% cases which are not you can say true in nature. Okay, so that is the nature of, or this, that is the nature of misuse which is there with respect to the section 498A. Coming to the next one, section 69 of BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So it targets men. How it targets men? That when we are talking about the section 69, that is talking about the sexual intercourse by deceitful means. If there is a person who says that I'll marry you, and on this particular pretext they start living together and they have sex. Okay, so in this particular thing, if that particular person says that I will not marry you after having sex, he has taken a step back. In that case, if that particular person is male, then he is liable under section 69 of BNS. But if that person is female, if a female is having sex on the pretext of getting married and then she denies to marry, in that case she is not liable. Okay, so that is also having a bias against men. Okay, coming to the next one, section 354, outrage a woman's modesty. Okay, no such protection has been given to male or the transgenders. Okay, coming to the next one, section 125 of CRPC, there is a financial burden on a male with respect to the maintenance. If you are talking about the divorce cases or otherwise also, there is a obligation on men to maintain wife, children and the parents. Okay, so that is there under section 125. So financial obligation is there on the men without even considering the capacity of the woman. Okay, whether that woman can go for you can say earning for her own or not, without even that consideration, there is a obligation on men. Okay, under section 125. Coming to the next one, section 375. Now in this also, when we are talking about the assault, okay, so male assault is not an you can say offense. Other than that also, men and the transgenders are excluded in that legislation. When we talk about the rape etc. in India, our legislation say that rape can only be attempted on a woman, okay, not on a male and the transgenders. So that is one of the bias which is there. Section 304B, that is assuming the dowry death. When we are talking about the dowry, most of the time if there is a unnatural death which is there, okay, if there is a couple and then the wife is having some kind of unnatural death, in that particular time it is assumed that it is because of the dowry, most of the cases, okay. So that is a, you can say, bias which is there in the 304B. Custody and the adoption, when we are talking about the custody, most of the time judges will be favoring the female or the mothers, okay. Coming to the next one, single men cannot adopt a daughter. So these kind of biasness are there in our Indian law. We have seen such examples, okay. Now coming to the next part over here, what is the impact of these legal harassment on the men? Now if there is a misuse of the act, if there is a false case which has been filed against a man, what are the implications? So one is your psychological distress, social stigma will be there, people will see you differently, that is there. Suppressed emotions, most of the time you will be seeing that in the kind of patriarchal society we live, men are not allowed to express themselves. If a person cries, then we will be considering them as a weak person, okay. So that is the emotions are suppressed over here. Third is the financial burden. We have seen in the case of the alumni, in the case of the maintenance, we have seen that there is the financial burden which is there on the men. Coming to the next one, marital suicide rates are increasing, that is there, and social stigma which we have already seen. Now these are the impacts which are there because of the misuse of the law. Now legal protection against the misuse of the law. Now what are the options which are available? So one is section 182 of IPC. Now we are having BNS, so the respective section of the BNS will be included over here. Protect against the 498A, false cases under the 498A, which penalties for the misuse. If there is a person or if there is a female who is going for the misuse of section 498A, okay, in that case that is basically for the cruelty, okay. In that case a male can go for the filing a case under 182 IPC. Next is section 500 IPC. Now this is talking about the defamation. Now if you are putting some kind of false allegation, okay, in that case a person can go and file a case of defamation. Then third is section 9 of the CRPC, enables claims for damages due to the false, cruelty and abuse, okay. You can check this particular section. If there is some kind of wrong information, you can tell me in the comment box, okay. I guess there is some kind of mistyping, but you can check, and otherwise I'll be pinning a comment in the comment box. Now moving further, gender neutrality in India. Now when we are talking about the gender neutrality, what we can do, one is, since when we are talking about the awareness etc., so we can generate awareness, we can try to break the stereotypes which are there, okay. That is one thing. Acknowledging the gender bias, when we are talking about the legal or the, you can say, laws which are there which are having this gender bias, we have to acknowledge it, then only we can remove those bias, okay. So that is the second thing. Third is the sensitization of the criminal justice system. Now when we are talking about the various laws which we have seen, otherwise also we have seen that there is this biasness, okay. So for that also we have to reform that. Coming to the next one, other than that also, when we talk about the legal officers, okay, legal professionals, so as I told you that most of the time the important role should be played by the lawyers, okay. They should give the right advice. There is a need of the maintenance, then they should go for the maintenance. I have seen one case wherein the maintenance for a lady which has been asked by the lady, that was nearly 6,16,000 rupees per month, okay. Now what kind of person requires that much money for the maintenance, okay. So that in that particular arena, the legal professionals can play an important role. Coming to the next one, revising the existing laws. Our existing laws are having the, you can say, gender bias. We have seen that words like wife, words like woman, these are, you can say, used in the laws, okay. In case of wife you can use spouse. If you are using spouse, that means that both male and female, okay. So that way you can make it gender neutral. In place of man or woman or male or female, you can use person, okay. So that is one thing which we can do. Institutions for the men's welfare, like we have institution for the female's welfare, we can go for a institution which is talking about the human development, okay, and not about the male and female or male or woman, okay. So that is the discussion for today's we have talked about the various issues. We have talked about the issues with respect to the POSH Act. We have talked about the issues with respect to the parliamentary productivity. We have talked about NIA. We have talked about the misuse of laws. Okay, so that is all about the discussion. Now let's have a look at this test. Small test is there. Which section of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita criminalizes sexual intercourse with deceitful promises? Section 69, 354, 375 and 125. Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. Next is, the POSH Act was enacted in compliance with which landmark Supreme Court judgment? Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, Nirbhaya case, Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, Sakshi versus Union of India. Coming to the next one, third question. What is the role of question R in enhancing parliamentary productivity? Allow MPs to pass laws without debate, provides a platform to question the executive, introduce a private member bill, declare a new government policies. Okay. Now coming to the last one, that is fourth, the NIA has power to investigate crime across only one state, all states and the union territories of India, only central government institution and international borders. Okay. So you can attempt all these questions and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you and please subscribe the channel.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.